such, you know that probably you've done it right, in as much as maybe we've not done it 101%. And the Standard newspaper speaks of shocker: 1 in 3 Nairobians has had COVID-19. That is still on matters COVID-19. Analysis of antibodies shows that virus prevalence in the capital stands at 35% and far higher than in other cities. A story captured on page 3. Those moments where you really have felt like you got it and you just do not have the confidence to go out there and be tasted. I guess you probably have gone through that, and in most cases they have said, you know, most of these people who have had COVID-19 have been at that level where they do not have the signs and symptoms. So probably that's where this bracket then culminates from. And away from it, Uhuru Ruto allies clash on the Sagana conversation, and members of parliament left out of Uhuru's talks with Mount Kenya leaders pen a long, hard-hitting letter on issues they want addressed as Jubilee Vice Chair Murathi. The issues are tough warning. A story captured on page 6. And did the economy fall into recession? That is on a different story, page 4 of the Standard newspaper. COVID-19 impact on the economy. We all know that it's not been rosy, not just in the country, but across all parts of the world, and that is a global fraternity. And so it's been tight in terms of matters economy. And most of the nations trying their level best to come up with strategies on how best they can take their nation forward and how they can address the economic downturn that we witness across. And so that is also a conversation that has been ongoing. And as seen there, it's on the Standard newspaper. And this is the one, of course, this is the level of counties, even as the Council of Governors is set to proceed to do their vote so that they can get a replacement for the sitting committee or the sitting leaders as at now. That is the leaders at the Council of Governors. And that is also a story that is ongoing. And we'll be looking at that as we proceed. And the Daily Nation, virus tips Kenya into a recession. First time in nearly 2 decades that the country has experienced a phenomenon, and this is more or less like trouble, as captured right here. Negative growth data released by the National Statistics Agency, that is yesterday, shows that the economy contracted about 1.1% in the 3 months from July to September last year, making it the second consecutive quarter of shrinkage as a result of the adverse effects of COVID-19. A story that has been expounded on page 8 of the Daily Nation. But away from to matters education and politics. Your new pay slip after Yatani sneak tax as he took away the COVID reliefs. Treasury CS tinkered with the tax bans, doing more damage to pay slips by reducing net pay by as much as 6%. That is scaring, and is a story captured on page 8. Remember the cautionary measures that President Uhuru Kenyatta had given at that point when COVID-19 struck, and actually, at some point in time, giving people or giving Kenyans a tax relief. And then again, coming into this year, the rest of the same happened, and so everyone is eagerly waiting to look at what their pay slip will look like. But here are details of what to expect, as captured by the Daily Nation on page 8. On matters education, Magoha Mal's return of the cane in schools, that we'll be discussing as we progressively look at what we can do to address the unrest in schools. And in the African aspect, US tells Eritrea to get troops out of Tigray. In its first statement of the conflict since President Joe Biden took office, the United States has called for withdrawal of Eritrean soldiers from Tigray, Ethiopia. That is story captured on page 26, and also so much happening in the African scene and also the global fraternity at large. We reject Raila. Members of Parliament tell Uhuru, that is about 41 members of Parliament that are allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta, to Deputy President William Ruto. Those ones that drafted that letter to the President, having, been left out from the list of the legislatures or the Mount Kenya region leaders that will be having a meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta come tomorrow. You blame the leaders and people of Mount Kenya region for being reluctant to accept the handshake and the BBI. It is not their fault, or so they say. That is according to that letter. We'll look into that extensively with the panelists that we'll have on board as we get their view in regards to the same. That is on the papers this morning. And let's drop the papers and look at a different angle or a different direction altogether. What do you expect for the day? And this is the roads. We'll be looking at that before we get to close on this first segment. But first, let's take a look at the Daily Diary. Honorable Paul Koinange will today hold a press conference on the incitement by politicians and the ongoing security operations in Kapedo. And though not captured, you need not to worry. We have so much stories that will be taking center stage, and we'll have our team on ground. For instance, that election by the Council of Governors, as they look forward to get their own chair who's going to take up the mantle from the likes of Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya. We have our team on standby to check up on this, and also what will be happening in terms of preparation for that meeting in Sagana. We'll call it the Sagana meeting by President Uhuru Kenyatta alongside Mount Kenya region leaders. And let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Quote of the day: you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way.
And by now, you know how we always do it. From the quote of the day, we go directly to the history of the day.
On this day in history, the year is 1954, Oprah Gail Winfrey was born. She is an American television presenter and a media mogul with a show known as The Oprah Winfrey Show and a magazine publisher. She has been ranked as the richest African American of the 20th century. She delivered her support for Barack Obama during his presidential race and delivered over 1 million votes for the president. Some call her one of the most influential women in the world. All this is far from her humble beginnings in rural Mississippi, where she was raped as a young girl and was pregnant by the age of 14. Her wealth is estimated to be over $2 billion, which she has amassed due to her hard work and strong business skills to make her one of the richest women in the world.
Happy birthday, Oprah Winfrey. That reminds me that we have a cake for you. So get into our social media platforms, get into the SMS short code, get to make a phone call to us and tell us who's this one person that you'd love to celebrate this morning, this one person that you love. Remember, we're almost heading to that month of love. And so it's always good to speak to, the people that you adore once in a while in a special way. Tell them how much you like them, how much you appreciate them. It is your birthday and you feel like you'd want to appreciate yourself, and Morning Cafe, courtesy of Valentine's Cake House, awards you that cake. So I'll be giving you 2 cakes this morning. So make sure that you go and hit there, keep sending those messages, and we'll have 2 of you enjoy that, incredible cake all the way from Valentine's Cake, as I'll be giving you that voucher as we proceed. So keep sending in the comments, and our social media platform team is on standby to ensure that we get to tell you by the end of the show who's going to take the cake home, as we get to celebrate you also and say thank you so much for always keeping it right here. So let's briefly take a look at what is happening on the roads before we look at what it is that my team has prepared in terms of news. And here we are this morning. Friday mornings are not always so bad in Nairobi, and let's see, we start from the central bit of it. Yes, here we are. different parts, and we look at Limuru. Yes, I think we start with Limuru Road as you are headed to those directions of Ruaka from town. Evidently, Limuru Road is doing pretty good this morning. There's not much of a traffic, as you can see. And going on, you get to some spots where you get some bit of it, but it is not wanting or is not bad. This is where you headed to those sides of Ruaka town. Take different directions to Kitusuru and to Runda. Evidently not much of traffic when you're taking these particular special roads, and that it should be on the northern bypass on these sides of Runda as you go down through the northern bypass to those sides of Mirema. It is incredibly good this morning, and to these sides of Kahawa West, so you need not to worry. And let's cross over to the other side, that is at Thika Road, and we start off from Githurai, and Githurai takes us all the way to this point of TRM. And actually, when you're coming from those sides of Zimmerman and you're getting, that is Kamiti Road, and you get to, meet somewhere around Roysambu, somewhere there's a bit of traffic on these sides of Kamiti Road, as you can see right here, but it's not that bad. So that means you can move, and then you get yourself to get to connect to Thika Road. And this is now Thika Road, where some slows or some bits you find some bit of a snarl up around driving area right here. You can see that there's some bit of traffic, but it is moving. But as always, the notorious spot somewhere around Muthaiga and Pangani, you get to connect there as you headed to town. You realize that in most cases, most of the mornings, you'll find some bit of traffic. So somewhere around here, there's some bit of traffic, as you can see the red slots. So that means then if you're taking that direction, you know what to expect around there, but it is evidently moving. But from these other sides, you can tell that Muthaiga Road is pretty much of an ease as you try to get yourself to the city. You find that Muthaiga Road is not doing so bad. And to these other sides, Juja Road, there's a bit of traffic somewhere around Moi Air Base here, but it is not as bad as you'd definitely expect in most cases. Getting you to connect to those sides of Komarok, Dandora, you realize that, it's a bit of traffic, but not so bad. And that means then we are connected to Outer Ring from this point of Allsops and going all the way. Outer Ring is also not doing as bad, but as always, when you get to these areas of Feather Estate, Tasia, you find that in most cases there's some spots where you get some bit of traffic. You can see here, you can see in these places, and so you know what it is to expect. Bringing us to the airport road, that is alongside the eastern bypass, and down to the eastern bypass, there are places where you realize there's some bit of traffic along the eastern bypass around Mihango there. So you can expect that as you go on and get to connect yourself to Airport Road. Airport Road is not doing so bad this morning. This is around Embakasi, and you evidently can see that it's not badly off. But then when you come to connect to Mombasa Road, you realize that it is not beautiful in any way. From Airport Road, Embakasi, and then you come to connect to these sides of Cabanas and Imara Daima, evidently it is bad. It is bad around Samia Park. This is in Mombasa Road. Also, let's take a look at where we start from these sides of Mlolongo, going down Gateway and Syokimau around the Nairobi SGR terminus. This is bad this morning. Imara Daima is bad. Mombasa Road as you go down all the way, and then it ceases to have some traffic. So it's an ease, and going down you get it somewhere around South C, South B there. It's a bit of traffic that is somewhere around Bellevue. So that tells you that if you're taking Mombasa Road, things are not looking so good this morning as you get to connect to these sides of the Nyayo National Stadium roundabout, and then it eases up around Lusaka Road. It is not so bad this morning as you take this direction again, trying to get yourself into the city and taking us to these other sides, Madaraka Estate, Mbagathi Way. Mbagathi Way this morning is pretty much of an ease, taking us to these sides of Valley Road, Kenyatta Avenue, State House Road, Dennis Street. Down there you find that it is not so bad this morning, and a different direction altogether. The southern bypass is not looking so ugly as you can see. It's pretty much of an ease when you're taking the southern bypass, so you need not to worry if you're taking that direction. Let's take a look at a different one altogether. This side is Mbagathi Way, and coming to the other key roads, let's see what other road is worrying. Ngong Road is right here. Ngong Road is not bad this morning, apart from some simple spots where you'd get traffic, some bit of traffic around Woodley Estate, some bit of traffic, but it is also moving pretty much easy this morning. I guess these are the key roads that you'd probably want to know what is happening. As I've said, the southern bypass is not so bad this morning, so when you're taking that direction, you need not to get worried in any way. We've taken a look at what has been on Thika Road, and so that tells you it's not bad. This morning around Parklands where we are, it's pretty much of an easy MP share. Around Westgate, you can tell that, well, the roads are pretty much okay, so there's no cause for alarm. And as we drop this one, in the event that there's something that we'd probably want to update you on what is happening on the roads, I'll be right here to make sure that you are updated. I think we've looked at Ngong Road. Also, Langata Road is not as bad this morning, and so let's leave the traffic aspect at that and briefly take a look at the stories of the day. Chaos have been the order of the day in political meetings. That is when people from opposing groups clash. Now, the status quo is worrying as there is fear that the violence currently being witnessed might escalate. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, is warning, and the political leaders, they are being told that they should not propagate this or incite the public to violence, as Sharon Baranga tells us.
At the Bama Open Air Market in Nairobi, there was a political meeting organized by supporters of Deputy President William Ruto.
Relax,
a crowd formed, ready to listen to Ruto and the other leaders accompanying him. A majority who turned up here did not have their masks on. As the meeting was on, a group of youth tried to disrupt it. Yesterday at Githurai, another political meeting was held. ODM leader Raila Odinga was accompanied by other political leaders. Business came to a standstill as a crowd gathered, but the meeting was interrupted after a section of youth allied to Deputy President William Ruto caused chaos. Police officers lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse youth who were charging towards the venue where Raila was addressing the public. Some of the leaders claimed the youth had been paid to disrupt the meeting.
Mimi nimesikia walipewa shilingi 100 ati wamama walipewa shilingi 100 waharibu mkutano, hata wheelbarrow hawakupewa. Na Githurai tutarudi na tutarudi na tutarudi na tutarudi.
The business community in Githurai condemned the chaotic scenes witnessed yesterday.
Na nyinyi viongozi mnaleta hao watu wanaleta hiyo fujo na wanapiga watu na mawe. Hiyo kitendo ni mbaya na tumekilaani.
Tunajua wenye kupanga, we know them with their names, na vile mahali walikuwa wametoa watu na ile pesa walikuwa wamepewa.
Sisi hatukumchagua mkuje mpiganishe Githurai, watu wa Githurai ndio wanapigwa. Wamepigwa rungu na wameleta watu kutoka mahali ingine wakawaleta Githurai ndio wapigane.
Following the chaotic scenes in the political rallies, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission is warning political leaders against inciting the public to violence.
We're looking at the clips very carefully, and we are calling the people who may utter these things, utter those languages which cause problems, for investigation under the NCIC Act. And under that act, we will take, if we look that it meets the threshold of being taken to court, we will do it.
Early this month, President Uhuru Kenyatta banned political gatherings for 60 days in an effort to try contain the spread of COVID-19. But the political rallies continue to be held in the country as some of the people turn up devoid of the advice from the Ministry of Health. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
With the president, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta, expected to hold a third meeting with leaders from the Mount Kenya region at the Sagana State Lodge this weekend to iron out issues in the region. A section of leaders from the mountain who have not been invited to the event have allegedly written a letter to the president counseling him on issues that should be given prominence in the region. Musa Salah with the details.
Barely a week after President Uhuru Kenyatta's attempt to woo the Mount Kenya electorate into supporting the Building Bridges Initiative BBI report, and with the head of state expected to fortify his shaky grip on the region through a meeting with Mount Kenya leaders at the Sagana State Lodge on Saturday, a record 41 lawmakers from the vote-rich region not invited to the event have written to President Uhuru Kenyatta to acquaint Kenyatta with the critical issues facing the mountain. The legislators have asked Kenyatta to realign his development agenda, claiming that the development memoranda for all the constituencies in the region, which were submitted to the government for implementation in 2017, are yet to take off. Critical of Jubilee's policies over the past 3 years, the leaders who are allied to Deputy President William Ruto called out President Kenyatta for reducing the Big Four agenda to the handshake and the BBI, encouraging the head of state to embark on high-impact programs to spark rapid revival of the economy.
Mount Kenya region, I'm sure wangetaka kusikiza vile wanaweza kuwa na pesa kwa mfuko. Unaona kama Kirinyaga Road, ukiangalia Nyamakema, Gikomba, unaona biashara za hao watu wote. Gikomba imekuwa ikichomwa kila wakati, business community imekuwa taxes zimeongezewa, tena imekuwa biashara iko chini. Alafu unajua kulikuwa na hii kitu ya mizigo yao kuwa imeshikwa na Kenya Port Authority. Kwa hivyo business imekuwa mbaya the whole of last year.
In the 13-page letter to the president, the legislators have further accused Kenyatta of engaging in politics of deceit and betrayal, reminding him of his esteemed moments of bromance with his deputy William Ruto. But in what seems like disappointment with President Kenyatta's newly found love in ODM leader Raila Odinga, the Tanga Brigade have warned the BBI proponents that it will be hard selling Odinga and the handshake in the region, owing to Kenyatta's successful efforts to persuade the people and render Raila Odinga unacceptable in Mount Kenya. The leaders, among others, counseled the president on the political persecution of leaders with a different opinion to Kenyatta's, imminent threats of violence as the country gears on towards the 2022 general election, as well as the management of his succession. The letter had indicated that Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata was among those who signed. However, the Senate Majority Chief Whip, through his Twitter page, dismissed the letter as fake, saying that he did not sign the letter. Meanwhile, Murang'a County Governor Mwangi wa Iria has said that the county has formed a steering committee that will push the BBI agenda at the grassroots level.
And we've agreed, we've even formed a committee. We have formed a county steering committee made up of all MPs, and I mean all, so that whoever doesn't join will be out of his or her own option.
As to an election,
Musa Salah, TV 47.
Still on politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga met a section of religious leaders to drum up support for the BBI report. The ODM chief, however, dismissed claims by Deputy President William Ruto that the BBI report has nothing to offer to Kenyans.
Wanakani wajinga nuerevu hawana wakiona wakelewa au sidhani ni tajiri.
The ODM boss met church leaders to drum up support for the Building Bridges Initiative report.
A bridge between you and your brother. That is building bridges.
Raila accusing Deputy President William Ruto of using church platforms for his political interests.
Now they're being praised as really the God-fearing people. My view is that the church should receive the money. It is good to do so. But then don't say that this man is over-generous. Don't, because that way you're using the church to laundry, as a laundry to clean money that has been stolen from the public.
And with the churches not fully opened in an attempt to stop the spread of COVID-19, the ODM boss hinted at pushing the government to allow the full resumption of religious gatherings. He further dismissed claims by DP Ruto that the BBI report is not meant to help the common man.
We will be the last people to try to stop church from getting some funding. How else would you expect them to continue doing their work? We are not, and that is a very unfounded allegation against us.
Among the church leaders who attended the meeting promised to spearhead the constitutional amendment process by educating Kenyans on the report.
Now, I was the happiest person to see that this year we are trying to review. It's a window and a door that has opened to the churches to review and to see how we can build a country by building this bridge that has evaded the church to do.
The Independent Electoral Commission has already written to county assemblies to debate the BBI bill.
Those three stories will form the basis of our conversation this morning also as we take a look at what is incorporated in the BBI. So much happening in the world of politics, and with governance experts, you cannot run away from these candid discussions. So that should be right after the break. But remember, it is an incredible show lined up for you this morning. We'll be having Zawadi the band on board as we get to usher in the weekend in style. And we've got a cake for you. It's always important that you note this. Every other Friday, Morning Cafe, courtesy of Valentine's Cake House, will be awarding you 2 cakes for your loved ones, for yourself, as you celebrate their wedding, celebrate their special moments, graduation, their birthdays, whatever it is that you think, is worth celebrating. Then you'll have a cake from us. So you'll get a voucher for Valentine's Cake House. You walk into any of them across the country and you get that cake and you go enjoy it with a family and friends. So make sure that you go on our social media platforms, drop your text, tell us what it is that you'd want us to do for you this morning in terms of getting that person that you love feeling more loved, and we'll certainly be here to dance to style. So after this break, we come back to the discussion.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories. After steering Mount Kenya University to become the largest private university in the East Africa region, pioneer Vice-Chancellor Professor Stanley Waudo has exited. And now, MKU is proud to announce the installation ceremony of the second Vice-Chancellor, Professor Deogratias Jaganyi, which will take place on Friday 29th January at Happy Valley Grounds, Thika, starting 9 a.m. The event will be aired live on TV47. Join us as we set our eyes on new goals, renew our commitment to continue providing world-class university education, and unlock infinite possibilities. TV47, the home of untold stories.
This is Morning Cafe, and it is Friday. We said it is an incredible day for us, a bright one for that matter. You can almost tell, as they would always say, siku njema huanza asubuhi. And right here on Morning Cafe, we ensure that your day starts so well, guaranteeing you a better one even as it unfolds. And right here on board is governance expert Njuguna Mwangi, who joins me for the newspaper review, and we'll be going all the way to 7:30 as we ponder on the matters governance right here in the country and the politics of the day. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana,
Madam Leader.
How have you been since we last met? That was on Friday, right?
Yeah, it was last Friday.
Yes.
My week was good, and I can say I'm thanking God for giving us life and good health. Although there have been many, especially in politics, a lot of dynamics, and we have seen so many, there has been a lot of noise in the country, but we thank God because our country is still peaceful, and we hope that going forward our country will still continue maintaining peace, because we don't have another country. This is the only country that God has given us, and we cannot allow it to go into dustbin.
And we cross fingers for that. You know, a friend of mine keeps reminding me that, you know, we're not special in any way. If other nations have gone down to the woods just because of, you know, politics of intolerance, then you need not to think that you're special in any way, that you'd probably not take the same direction. And so every other time you have that in mind, you will think of the next step that you're about to take. And I guess that's what we'll be looking at this morning, the politics of intolerance, and just how much our youths and every other person should be reminded that we need to be sober enough. We need to play our politics with a lot of sanity, so that at least we protect this one nation that we all dearly love. It has given us a home, so it is incumbent upon us to take care of it. And so, thank you it's good to have you this morning. Thank you so much for finding time. We have so much that is lined up for us. We had said that we'll be looking extensively at the BBI report, but the politics that is here today is one that you cannot run away from. And so we'll probably just pick one point of the BBI or so, but importantly, we look at what is playing out. The Mount Kenya region is about to speak, and we are eagerly waiting to see what will culminate from that. In as much as many people have said, well, we all know that this is not the first time that we are getting these meetings convened, and nothing much comes out of them in terms of the implementation aspect. So as we wait to see what will come out, we get to ponder, and we also just try to figure out what could be expected. And so the People Daily is what I have this morning. Briefly, let's just have it on the screen, and we take a look from here before we come to the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation, which is what we have the hard copies. So Njuguna, Sagana Wa Uhuru locked out Ruto members of parliament. I think we don't need to get into that because we'll be looking at it as we proceed. But then again, there's this story that has been captured on page 8 that is interesting due to the unrest or the indiscipline we see in our students today or in schools today. There's that conversation that Magoha has tried to revive. He says that maybe we should consider caning back to ensure that we are able to tame this. And for a moment, I know you've had someone at some point saying, siku zetu zile tulikuwa na kiboko, mtoto alikuwa na chapa, you could not do that. I know there's some level of truth in what these people say, but as they would argue, the other easier way or the other noble way would probably work more than corporal punishment. What do you say?
You see, I think I'm one of those who have experienced that caning,
Yes.
Because during our times, everybody has his past.
Yes.
Actually, discipline was a collective responsibility of all people in the society. Actually, you never cared whether this is your biological parent or not, but as long as you have an elderly allowed you, that elderly person was allowed to discipline you, and the parent and your own parent will go and punish you in case you got punished either at school or even within the village. So that's why I think most of the people who passed through that experience, even today, they are they were instilled with very important values. Today, we have all these things about the rights and all that, and you can see even our children have even turned out to be very rebellious, just because they know if they already know their rights. If today you cane your child or you think you are disciplining the child, even the children themselves can take you to court and you face the law. So I think that discussion is very important, and we need maybe to start rethinking about how we can get back to that which was positive. Although there were those few instances where people were overdoing it. So where you think you are disciplining the child and then you end up abusing the child. So I think the most important thing is the regulation, because today you can see our children have actually turned out to be, they are becoming criminals even within the homes. Like during those very long holidays during the COVID period, your parents can tell you that they have really experienced challenges with their children. Unfortunately, it seems like even our parents, but I think it's a positive thing, they have just discovered that they are strangers to their children.
To their children.
So at least through the COVID, at least we can still take a positive note that parents, maybe they got a time to engage and bond with their children, and I hope that board should continue. But when it comes now to discipline, sometimes it's also good to be realistic. You know, these children have been away from schools for a very long time, and I think it is important, even the education institutions, the schools, to even put more emphasis on the counseling, guidance and counseling, because some of these children are like trying to get back to the factory setting, because it's a long time since they were in school. Yeah. So some of these indiscipline cases, probably they could be as a result of these challenges, that they have now shifted from the home, the situation they were in at home, and now they are back to school, where discipline is instilled by the teachers. Yeah. So I think even the teachers themselves, they need to be a little bit cautious when dealing with their children, with these children, and they also need to understand the situation, and they try to give them guidance as early as now.
All right. Well, and coming to the next page, because all these other ones are more of politics, Kenya ranks 48 in African COVID-19 assessment report, and we are being told that we've tried our level best to, just be able to join the world in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. Another 66 patients have recovered from the disease. We've had a total of recoveries that is pretty much high, and starting at about 83,757 out of the numerous cases that we've had. We hit the 100,000 mark the other day, and getting us a little bit worried or whether we are making gains in this fight or not. And true to it is that, yes, when the world goes out there to celebrate you, then it means that we can only tighten the noose. I would want to believe so. Generally, in regards to matters COVID-19, the vaccine is about to be here. So much is also happening within this particular setup. What would you make of our fight, our struggle so far, and where we are headed, even as we look at the economic meltdown on, the restrictions that have been put?
You see, matters of COVID, as you know, is a pandemic that has befallen all the nations in this globe. The strategies that the government actually applied in the first, right from the time COVID caught up with us in Kenya, I can say the government really tried, and they did their best. Even though we still feel a little bit disappointed with what really happened later on, because we also realized a lot of mismanagement of things like the funds that were meant to help our people fight the COVID. You realize that it's the same time we got some people becoming billionaires just because of this pandemic through the COVID-19 billionaires that is very, very famous. So I think I'll say the government really did its best. However, we still find some reluctance, especially among our leaders, because sometimes we don't talk, we don't walk the talk. You see leaders telling us about how we should prevent ourselves from this pandemic, but then on the other hand, you see they are doing contrary to that. As you can see nowadays, there are rallies all over, the political rallies all over. And when you look at these prayers, you realize that they are not even observing the protocols that the Ministry of Health has given out. So in regard to things like the vaccine, we are very hopeful that once the vaccine gets to Kenya, it will be administered in the right way.
Right.
I hope the minister, the CS Kagwe, will take charge and be serious, because we are still not very sure if it will reach the right people. This government sometimes you get confused. You cannot tell what to happen. So it's just a wait and see situation. But we are hopeful. As you know, Kenya has been rated as the people in Kenya are rated as the most hopeful people in the globe.
True.
So we still continue with the hope.
Yeah, indeed, we still hold our hopes high, and so much in politics, and also what is happening in the counties on special stories. And we're from Eid on Matters BBI. Right Honorable Raila Odinga proceeds to charge to rally leaders to back proposed BBI law change, and he urged the religious leaders drawn from the Christian and Islamic faith to lead Kenyans out of bondage. There is a story on the Star newspaper that speaks of, him being left as a lone ranger in the push for this, probably witnessed from what happened in his rally. That was sometimes on Wednesday in Githurai. It felt like, he was running the show alone, trying to woo the Mount Kenya region, and probably not so much of backup from the likes of President Uhuru Kenyatta or anybody else who was supposed to be working with him, trying to get to woo the people of Mount Kenya on that. And also, on the same page, that is page 5, that is ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi also calling upon Kenyans to shun handout politics, and I think that is what we'll be looking at, especially as we look at the role of the youths in governance, generally on the aspect of the BBI and the fight that Right Honorable Raila Odinga has put up. Do you suppose he's taking a good trajectory? Sometimes at least people asking whether he's been fixed or something.
You see, if you look at the way these matters of BBI has been progressing, Raila Odinga being one of the principles of the BBI, we expect him to be very vibrant, of course, because this is one of the people who really initiated this this document. So the push and that we can see, he is really working very hard to reach out to Kenyans, so that at least they can buy the proposals they have in the BBI. It is interesting to see that Honorable Raila Odinga has now turned to the church. And I'm very happy about it, because probably the Christians would say really God is working on even his salvation. Probably, I don't know if it's just because of the BBI, but if you look at the way he has been critical of the church, you would expect that maybe he would proceed with this matter of BBI without necessarily considering so much the church. But we are happy that he is now turning back to the church, and the same church, he really pushed that they help them to reach out to people, explain about the BBI and what it has and the benefits to Kenyans. But as you can see with the recent happenings, one thing that you have noted is that Raila Odinga is really trying to work hard to get into Mount Kenya region. The other day you saw what was happening in Githurai, but it is very interesting to note, look at the people who accompanied former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. You realize that not even a single member of parliament, apart from actually Minor Commander, who accompanied Raila Odinga. And I think he has a reason to worry. Even those people who keep on clapping for him and hyping him that Mount Kenya will back him, there are a lot of questions that the ODM camp needs to think about. Not even the vice chairman of Jubilee, who has been behaving like he is the one who owns the Mount Kenya votes. You realize that even Murathe himself was nowhere to be found. Then when you look at the BBI, those people who are pushing for the BBI agenda, the other day, a few weeks ago, they have now, they constituted the team that will lead the BBI in Mount Kenya region. When you look at the people who are given this mandate, initially we had Irungu Kang'ata, the chief whip of the Senate. And from the day he whipped the president himself by writing him a letter, you realize that he has been kept aside. He is no longer leading the team, and now they have gone for people who are not even known by many of us. Like now, currently, this push is being spearheaded by the senator for Kirinyaga, Honorable Kibiro. Others, like in Murang'a, we have the member of parliament for Kigumo, Ruth Mwaniki. These are people whom even people of Murang'a, like Madam Ruth Mwaniki is, I respect her, but honestly speaking,
Not
if
well
you go to
known,
other
not so
constituencies
vocal.
within Murang'a, you ask
do
them
have
who
no
the
idea.
Mwaniki is, they don't know. So I'm seeing like key leaders whom we know, those who are very famous, like Kanini Kega,
Yes.
Honorable Gujiri Wabugu. I tend to believe that, and even from the information that we are getting from other quarters, is that they were asked to spearhead this and they refused. They say, no, you want me to commit political suicide. So this document really has issues, and there is a reason to worry even from the principals themselves, the president himself and the former prime minister. And it is time they accept the reality, because you cannot run away from the facts. The crowd is really speaking. And that is the same time, the same way they were doing even during the Musabweni by-elections. And they were told the crowd is really want to have its own people. They would just want people to have their choice. Yeah. And they ignored these facts. Raila Odinga went there severally and claimed that this is a ODM tough. But mambo kwa ground ni different, and they still don't believe so. If you go to Gaturi, the by-election, the home of Irongo Kangata, who was leading the campaign for the Gaturi ward there, the by-election, they lost it. Jubilee lost almost everywhere.
Wow.
So at least guys like Honorable Irongo Kangata are wise enough to learn that this is the ground has shifted, and they have to tell the president the truth. At least let Raila Odinga also accept the truth and the reality. In Githurai, we saw what was happening. In Bama the other day, we saw what was happening. So at least he needs to understand, and he also learned from the past. He has ever been betrayed by the same people.
So he needs to wake up and smell the coffee.
Exactly.
Well, at least for the records, Ngunjiri Wambogo is always on this other side, but the likes of Kimani Ngunjiri are the ones who are adamant on this other side. That is the side of Tanga Tanga. And so we certainly wait.
But you see, what I was saying is, Honorable Kanini Kega and Ngunjiri Wambogo are well known in Central Region.
Yes.
And we would have expected that with the exit of Irongo Kangata, such people would be reading the reggae dance.
Right.
But they seem to have refused to take the responsibility because the crowd is too hot for them. So that's why they have gone for very unpopular leaders like Honorable Kibilo, the senator for Kirinyaga.
Well, let's see what they can deliver as we discuss that later on the Sagana meeting. But also the governors who are set to exit the stage should be their last term as governors. Sometimes you ask yourself, do they go back to being members of parliament? Do they go back to being senators? How do they proceed up and all that? So it's rush against time for 20 governors to decide their fate. And here we are, second-term county chiefs with months to their terms are scratching their heads on what a step to take, and that is to remain relevant politically. So these are the very same people you think would push so hard for the BPI. Briefly.
Yeah, you see, one thing that we have to accept that all these people who are really pushing hard for the BBI, they have something to benefit from.
Yeah.
The only person who seems not to have much to benefit from is the Wajiko self. If you look at the governors are very happy with this issue of 35% of the national revenue, that it is being pushed from 15% to 35%. And they are so excited about that, although that's just a hype.
Okay.
The reality will dawn on them after we pass it. if the Kenyans really pass it, though I hope they won't, they will be shocked, because these 35% will not be possible.
Okay.
Also, what will happen? We might end up going back to the same to change the constitution again. These governors also are very happy because they think now they can get an opportunity to continue with leadership. The other people like the MCAs, they feel like the BBI is really helping them because of the Ward Development Fund. However, this Ward Development Fund, what I'm trying to remind them is they need to know that this Ward Development Fund, the 5%, is just 5% of what is going to the county. And this is something that they can even pass through registration within the county assemblies. So we don't need to go that route of the referendum for them to get that. So some of these things, I think they are just doing that because they have a carrot that they are trying to catch up with.
All right, we'll be looking at that as time goes by to see what direction they will definitely take. And I'm excited to introduce PMG Kamau, governance expert too, who joins us right now. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, and I apologize for being late.
Well, it's good. I mean, what's important is that they say better late than never, right?
Yes.
And of course, I was eagerly waiting to ask this question before we get your view on what is captured in the papers and generally the conversation of the day that is key on the Sagana meeting and also the intolerance of politics that we witnessed today. What is happening with the Del Monte story? I mean, you hold this story, dear, and you said it was victory. Was it victory indeed?
It is victory. It has always been victory.
Okay.
Because I went through Article 67 of the Constitution, Article 2E, subsection 9 of Section 15.
Take us slow. All right. Okay.
Article 119 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
I also went through ECL 53 in Moranga, and all those situations have approved our allocations, all our award. What happened is that the governor Moranga, the governor Kiambu, the PS, Ministry of Rights, they thought they have got power than the Constitution and the law. So it was total war until I addressed His Excellency the President, who have taken over the matter to have to implement the gazetted award, the recognized award in courts, and also the recognized awards in Parliament. We are now not going to get our rand at the rate of 70% of every public rand. The rule is that if that rand is not enough, then the leases should not be renewed until we get satisfied. And for your information, all the leases for Del Monte end up, there will be no leases next year, March, May. So that it is now their duty to give us the rand as quickly as possible. What I hear is that they are also desperate. They say, why can't the government finish with Kandara Resident Association, victims of historical injustice? Madam, it is unfortunate that politicians would go all the way to defend Del Monte, who have so far killed 43 people. 3 of them were actually killed in 1 week in December. One woman was raped, and a dog gouged out the eyes of one.
Is it that bad and dire?
Yeah.
We're talking of a span of what?
1 week. You see, in July.
43 in 1 year, 43 is across all of the period of time. Yes. Okay.
But nobody bothered to investigate.
Right.
So I've investigated, got evidence, and then the worst of it happened in December when they did kill 3 people.
Right.
1 week they killed 3 people.
All this because of land.
Yes. That's why we are saying, drink Del Monte juice, drink African blood. Those people are devil worshippers.
Hold it right there.
Why would you?
We have to substantiate that,
yes,
you know.
I want to.
A disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer, yes.
Put a disclaimer.
Yes, there is a disclaimer. It is not my opinion, it is the fact on the ground. Let me ask you one simple question. Why do they choose to take some to jail, to police stations, and then to courts, and then to jail, and choose to kill some? You must be interested in the brand.
You would probably, that's another way to view it. But
if you have arrested 5 people, you choose to take 3 to court and to kill 2,
another one,
then you must have been interested in the right of that person.
Well, what's important?
Maybe the brand, because you see, the devil writes the brand.
Well, sometimes they say a wounded lion can look at things in huge ways.
I have challenged them across the globe. Take me to court.
There is hope for that. There is
Take
hope
me to court.
for success. I
have also gone through the human rights.
Yeah.
I have also written to supermarkets in Germany, supermarkets in Britain, supermarkets in America, and in my letter, I have written here top in red, drink Del Monte juice, drink African blood.
All right. Well, that's an interesting
I have no apologies, absolutely none. Those are our people. Do you know Del Monte is across my village?
As we cross, as we close this one. All right. Well, this is an interesting conversation.
But we thank His Excellency the President.
Yeah.
He has come over. Yani, we lost it to our very own.
Okay.
Especially Kikuyus. Let me ask you something.
We have to take a break briefly.
Governor Magwairia is a Kikuyu.
Yes.
Nyoro is a Kikuyu.
Why?
Muragori, the principal secretary is a Kikuyu. The Nandi people, Bomet, went through historical injustice. Nandi went through historical injustice. Kericho went through. They teamed up. The governors came together with MPs. They
solve the
yes. Our own were fighting for us. They were denying us. People we voted for wanted to take their rad from us.
Well,
people we voted for.
What's important is that we say,
why should they be like Nandi, Bomet, and Kericho?
Who
people teamed back to fight injustice
in protection of their own,
including pre-colonial, post-colonialism.
All right. Well, this one we can open a Pandora's box, but I'm happy that you say there's progress for that matter. And I have a friend of mine who's really, really interested in this matter, and so I can almost understand and relate to what it is that you're talking about.
All the National Human Rights Commission.
We have to close for a break.
Thank you.
All right, we close for a break. We come back with that later.
Stories.
Without saying,
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Finca Properties Limited introducing Equator Gardens Phase 2 Nanyuki. A few minutes
welcome to the Throwdown. My name is Faith Nelma, and today we are going to be making something really healthy. I am sure that in December you guys did damage, so we want to make something healthy so that you can be having some options for breakfast that you can take that are not so unhealthy. So today we're going to be making a mango smoothie, and we have our mangoes. I know mangoes are still in season. So for our recipe today, we are going to be using some mangoes and bananas, and we're also going to be using plain yogurt. You can also use mala. This is a sugar-free smoothie, so you don't need sugar for it, but we will be using some toppings. We'll be adding chia seeds, sesame seeds, some oats, some cardamom to flavor this smoothie bowl, and some poppy seeds. So what the seeds do is that they add more fiber and they make sure that you stay fuller for longer. So let's get right into it. So we have some mangoes over here. Mine are overripe. These are the best for smoothies. So I'm just
Welcome back to the broadcast, and we are into the conversation. Like I said, PMG had joined us, and for a moment we were almost swallowed by this conversation of Kennel, of Kandara, which they hold so dear. But all the same, we do not go into that, because what we came for this morning is a different conversation altogether. But I'm glad that he keeps reminding his people that there is progress in regards to that. We can only rest and hope, at that particular time when they are able to get the answers that they've been seeking for all these years. We always say that justice for the people is incredible, is something that is good. I mean, the voice of the people, certainly the voice of God. And so, gentlemen, we go back to where it is that we started. Like I said, we have Njuguna Mwangi on board and PMG Kamau. And as we were looking at the papers, I guess, well, sometimes it gets to guide us in as much as maybe it's a conversation what we seek to have. And I want us to start on this note, because we really do not have much of time. The Sagana meeting, that is the third one, as of course convened, as called for by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And in a way, the question that is being asked on the People Daily is why President Uhuru Kenyatta locked out members of parliament, some members of parliament for that matter, and as many would say, they're allied to the Deputy President William Ruto. And a different conversation altogether on the Daily Nation. We reject Raila members of parliament tell Uhuru. It's actually not a different conversation, because this culminated from the letter that they wrote to President Uhuru Kenyatta. We have the letter, and the details of the letters, was just speaking of what it is that they feel the people of Mount Kenya would need, and also complaining of the fact that, it's been a game of tyranny in the political world today, because most of the times they play the monopoly game. They are not allowed a chance to speak out and also, just advise the president of the things that need to be addressed. A different one, Uhuru Ruto allies clash on Sagana. Actually, it's not a different one. It's still the same story. And so, gentlemen, we have been following up on this, and people are excited to hear what it is that the president has in store. And so I'd start with you, Njuguna, just to hear your view on the same, and we get to understand how instrumental is this meeting going to be for the president to salvage the Mount Kenya region.
You see, Madam Leader, this meeting has been called by His Excellency the President. Yeah. And of course, he is the one who has the objective, the agenda of the meeting.
Yes.
He also holds he has the responsibility of inviting whom he wants to invite. Mm-hmm. But I want to say, from where I stand, I don't take this thing as a Mount Kenya meeting per se.
Okay.
It is just a meeting of those people who, I would say, who are actually buying into the idea of onto the agenda of the BBI and such. The only difference is that they have changed the venue from Nairobi State House to Sagana State House, and I don't understand why people are really so much hyped about this meeting. this is just a normal meeting because
is it so? Is it just a normal meeting?
We have heard the Sagana one and all those
2 and 3. This is the third.
This is the third one. The first one and the second ones so many memorandums were shared, were discussed, and were given to the president. A lot of issues were raised by readers, but even today, until today, we still don't see much happening on the ground. So this time round, people thought that the Sagana meeting would be now to build bridges between the president and those people, those dissenting voices.
Well, is it true, PMJ? That's just look.
But when you look at the invitation, those people who are claiming to have been invited and those who have not been invited, you realize that it's the same thing that has been happening all around. We have heard those people who have been singing the Lega song. There are those who have not been doing the same. So they have invited those people who are pro BBI.
All right, PMJ, do you agree that really this is just a meeting like any other, and really there is no cause for alarm or reason for people to read so much into what is expected to culminate from that, into what it is that the president has decided to take as a direction in terms of choosing the members of parliament that he will invite and others locking them out, looking at the kind of politics that we're playing in the nation today?
Thank you. I have been passionate about the handshake.
Yes.
And also the BBI. To start with, I did not write the handshake, and actually asked one question. Somebody is cheating one another. Either Uhuru is cheating Raila, or Raila is cheating. I also said that both Uhuru and Raila have got the most difficult task, managing the expectations. When you shake hands, being major protagonists in a national election with margin win against the other, then the Luos thought it is our time now to enter the government. Now the Kalenjins thought we are now going to be kicked out. Then the Kikuyus started asking, where are we? You see, that was the most difficult task. From the handshake onwards and the BBI, if you listen across Central Province and across leadership, including the members of parliament, those in Kiwereweke and those in Tagatanga, they continued asking, where is the president to give us direction? The major key issue was, where is the president to give us direction on handshake and on BBI?
And so this meeting is the president coming to give direction? Yes.
In the political reaction that came from the handshake was almost tribal by any standards. The expectation was almost tribal. I said, I would, if I were to advise the president, he must not comment. Why? Article 131 of the Constitution is a symbol of unity. That is going, if the Central Province leaders continued asking, who is giving us direction? I asked them, who is giving the Wakambas direction? Who is giving the Ruyas direction? Who is giving the Ruos direction? Who is giving the Kukupe? Why can't you close yourself in a house? As a community, the worst enemy for Central Kenya people are themselves. People who they represent tribes. For heaven's sake, when did they are Nikama Mafia there? You know what I mean?
What is that?
When this monkey goes to the toilet, you can't point it out because it's doing it in the air. Yani, they are divided so heavily you cannot trace them. As a community, we have therefore failed to meet together. What they continued saying was that, where is the president to give us direction? If the president did at that early times, it would have been the president versus other communities. Then I went ahead and said, let the president allow Ruto to fight it out with Raila. Because if he came in the fray, that would have been the most dangerous thing. In fact, January 2020, Alice Muthoni Wahome, my member of parliament in Kandara, who stole votes from me, went in January and brought in the president. In fact, she said the president is worse than Ruto. and is the cause of country's problem. Then I wonder, Aris, you have done your first mistake. You have brought in the president in the battle. So the president at one time will be forced to take sides.
But he's actually, a leader from the Mount Kenya region. So whether he likes it or not, he's within the battle for sure. Well, I know he's a symbol of unity and the leader of the nation.
At what stage?
Yes.
Is he going to be the leader?
Okay.
It is at this stage. It would have been worse if it was.
All right, and so him picking up on several individuals and leaving out the others is also a good thing.
Yeah. Sagana is where he meets his community men and women.
Yes.
You cannot deny him that right. He will not be a leader. Because to become the president of Kenya, he was first of all a Kikuyu.
Yes.
To be the president of Kenya, first of all depended from the boss of the Kikuyu. So he has got the responsibility to advise.
Wait a minute.
This is why I'm saying.
PMG. Wait a minute, PMG. George Theuri, Moses Kirema, Beatrice Nkadha, Faith Getau, Kimani Ichung'wah, Alice Wahome, your own member of parliament, James Gakuya, Patrick Mariru, 41 members of parliament coming to the president crying foul for being locked out of this. Is he
if I was Kimani Gojiri,
yes,
and I'm invited, I will not go. If I was Kimani Ichung'wah and I'm invited,
you think so?
I will not go. Why? I'm already. I am not.
You're taking a different direction.
I am not with the president.
Okay.
So why should I attend his meeting? Why? You see what this is where the country is going wrong. You are creating a situation where you're going to demonize the president.
Hold it right there. Hold
that's
it.
why you see what I'm saying.
Yes.
Why are you worried? You are not with him. If they are going to discuss BBI.
So in this case, who should be worried? Because the president has the interest of probably culminating from that letter, trying to get his people back, trying to send the message of the BBI back to his people. And these are instrumental leaders, like you started by saying. Yes. So locking them out, will it not be an undoing for the president?
You see, last time we agreed with the PMG that he will still be giving the Sun a chance to reply, or to talk.
Okay.
Now, I want to go back to the same statement that I started with.
Okay.
You see, the president actually knows the agenda of the meeting.
Yes, he does. And you do not want to say, analysts here coming to say that we all do not know what the president wants to say. And I agree. That is possible. So, but we can almost look at the situation.
Yes, we get the agenda.
Yes.
No, but let's agree
He's
here.
He's not going to discuss wheelbarrow.
That's
What I was just saying.
You think he's going to talk about wheelbarrow?
The president.
Let's allow.
This is President Uhuru Kenyatta's meeting.
Yes.
And he knows the agenda.
So we should
and
see
he
and
knows
wait
whom
what
he has invited for the same agenda.
Okay.
So from the way it is now, if you look at those who have been invited versus those who have not been invited, it is simply clear that he is not coming to resolve issues that are affecting Mount Kenya region. He is coming to meet the people who are singing and who are loyal to the song, who have tuned in to the reggae song, the reggae music of BBI.
Okay.
Because if he was coming, if the president was coming to resolve issues of Mount Kenya region,
what are the issues in Central Kenya?
He would have called all the leaders, the representatives of the people.
Are the issues?
And if the president was equally coming to discuss matters BBI, then he probably would have mixed with other leaders from the other parts of the nation.
The question is, why not invite the other leaders? You know, all those 41 members of parliament and the MPs and the National Assembly members and the senators have just been locked out because of one thing. They
do not support the BBI.
Yeah, and they do not. They are telling the president the real issues. Like,
are they telling him the real issues?
Actually, when they realize that they have not been invited,
what are the real issues?
The real issues are we have problems with our agriculture sector.
Yeah.
We have challenges with our tea sector. We have problems.
Have you read the BBI?
We know what is happening.
Forget about the BBI. Forget about the BBI. Gentlemen, before we even go to the BBI, let's look at this document. Let's look at this letter that was sent to the president.
Yes.
And they have pinpointed key issues. A 13-page letter speaking of, the fact that the president has overlooked them for quite a while, but all the same, they do not cease to represent their people. And so they are going to present these cases to the president as they hope that the president will address these cases. A couple of them we might not be able to go through, the political assassinations that have been witnessed. They have talked about the succession management. They have talked about Raila Odinga. They have talked about political persecution of leaders. They have talked about politics of deceit and betrayal, guaranteed minimum returns for the people. They have talked about economic ruin, development agenda, and all these things.
So you see, those are the issues that are affecting Wananchi. And I'm telling you this right now. PMG, you have to listen to me. That's why you are missing the point. I'm saying Mount Kenya people are not interested with the executive expansion and all that.
Then why are they fighting the BBI?
What the people are interested in is to see challenges that have been affecting them all those years being resolved. And we had a very, very high hope with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. And that is why we hoped that he is going to deal with the challenges that have been, the cartels that have been ruining the sector.
Do you want to tell me that the leaders that have been invited are probably not telling the president this? And do you want to speak of a scenario where, because these leaders right here are members that allied to the Deputy President William Ruto, so are you trying to say that in this proposal, and when we're looking at 2022 where President Uhuru Kenyatta will honorably exit the stage, we hope, then they'll probably address these issues for the people?
You see, the glue that holds these 41 members of parliament together is not William Ruto. It is the challenges that are affecting Mount Kenya.
Is it so?
And that is why you have been seeing something here. That is why you have been seeing
PMG.
Read John chapter 9
of the
and
Bible.
chapter 10 of the Bible. Jesus Christ says, I am the good shepherd.
Yes.
My sheep know my voice, and I know my voice. I am the good shepherd. I lead them towards the good pastures, the green pastures.
The green pastures.
And quiet, cool water. The shepherd leads the sheep.
Yes.
The sheep are reading shepherds. You know what is happening in Kenya? Do you know what is happening in Central Kenya? Watu wanasema nini? If you are going, you are read because you are above them. You are read because you have more, you can read them. You cannot continue saying watu wanasema hii, watu wanasema hii.
But don't you think that these leaders speak for the people? Are they not speaking for the people?
You see, where is your mind? Number one, this public have not accessed the BBI. That's a major drawback. Two, they have given the training of informing the public to the members of parliament. 80% have always been rejected. In Central Kenya, they know they are not coming back unless they come back through euphoria.
Exactly.
The euphoria see, my friend, I will be going for parliamentary seat in 2022. But I'm not cheap-minded.
Yes.
Intellectual aborted or intellectual dishonesty. I have to tell the people the truth, whether they elect me or not. That is not what.
Are you telling them the truth right now? Do you think that what it is that these leaders are raising are not the concerns of the people of Mount Kenya?
Because the Mount Kenya region, the people, as I have told you, it started with demonizing the BBI.
Yes.
And it concentrated on the premiership. It has not gone to the issues inside the BBI. That's why I'm calling it intellectual dishonesty. You see,
Irungu Kangata's letter highlighted what it is.
I was in one station.
Yes.
And I said, dear leaders of Central Kenya, this weekend, don't talk about the premiership. Talk about another agenda inside the BBI. Because every time, Ruto was on the ground. Raila was on the ground. Did they talk about what is the content of
But of what interest would these leaders have to demonize the BBI, knowing very well that this is something that is said to benefit their people?
Because they listened to the wave. Even Kangata listened to the wave. And he said it. He wants to become.
This is a man of stature and
he has got a PhD, my friend.
I want to support.
A PhD.
Exactly. So why would he listen to the wave? Why will he listen to
Why
them?
would he not talk the truth?
All right, let's allow Njuguna to come in.
There is something I want us to be
I'm
very
very
clear
bitter about
with,
that. Why?
Allow him to say something.
Let me just support you that we need to go into details of the BBI.
Yes.
And let me tell you.
The MPs not teach it. They are silent.
At this time, we are not.
They have no capacity.
Allow him to say. Allow him.
You have listened to all those rallies that leaders of the Tanga and the rest, the Hustler team have been talking about. They have always said, in fact, even the Deputy President William Ruto has always said that sisi hatuna shida na hizo vitu zenu mnasema.
Kwa hivyo wana shida na nini?
Hatuna shida na hizo vitu zenu za Prime Minister.
Wana shida na nini?
Ile shida tuko nayo ni kama tunaongea kuhusu hizo viti, hata mambo ya Wajiko yule ambaye
iko ndani mambo ya Wajiko.
And are you convinced that they mean that?
Give me time.
You see,
so listen,
PMG, let's have some order. Let's have some order. Let's have some order.
No,
he has a right to.
Why would Ruto say
the problem is
this book has got a good thing?
You'll have your time. You'll have your time to look at
Let us talk issues, not personality.
Yes.
Listen here. I'm saying we have challenges.
PMG, let's have some order.
We have challenges that we are pointing out. I mean, personally, I'm not in any of those things that PMG is saying. The Taga and Jereweke. I'm a Kenyan, and I'm.
Neither am I.
Well, this is what I'm now saying. One of the major challenges that we have seen with the BBI, if we allow the BBI amendment to go through, the problem with Wajiko is the burden that we are going to be, that will be put
Which
on
burden?
Wajiko has the burden.
And this is the burden. And this is the burden. Yes. We are already overburdened, and that's why you saw the Akul Lockout proposals. Where the Mwananchi was very happy with those proposals.
Hold it right there. The Secretary General of Third Way Alliance is one person that I host almost every other week, and he says that now that was quashed, they took some few things that were incorporated in that particular document and presented it to the task force, and they are happy that about 15, 18 or something thereabout has been incorporated. And today he's a proponent of the BBI.
That is why you need to understand that Wananchi do not care what the leaders are saying.
Okay.
They never supported the Third Way Alliance because of their leaders. They supported because of the content. Even the BBI, we are saying it is going to add the burden because we are not ready.
Third Way Alliance is supporting BBI.
We are not here. I'm saying we did not support the Third Way Alliance. We supported the document they had presented.
Yes.
So even if they say the BBI is good, we cannot say it is good because they are saying.
They say,
listen,
but they think the issues that were
this is where we are talking about the burden.
Give me a
look at this. One, the
chance.
BBI is telling us that we need to add the number of constituencies. So we are going to add 70 new members of parliament.
Yes.
And then it fails to address the challenges that we have been having all through of that gender rule. And they say that after we have voted, then to ensure that we meet the third gender rule, we are going to nominate the gender that is not that we do not have in the Senate or in the National Assembly. Yeah. So from 290 members of parliament plus the nominated ones, we now have the 49 members of parliament.
Okay. Yes,
after the BBI has passed, we are going to have 360 members of parliament elected, and then we add, assuming that we have 360 members of parliament being men, and that's an assumption, it means we have to nominate 180 women in parliament.
If we have all this and we kill corruption and we have service as expected, will it be a burden?
Look at this. Remember, members of these nominated slots are not coming with anything to Wajiko. And we have seen this from history. Nominated members, most of the parties have been nominating their girlfriends and such. So we expect,
let me talk now.
We expect to see, actually we have been having a bloated parliament already.
Okay.
And we have been looking for a way in which we can reduce this number of members of parliament. We cannot keep on carrying the burden of these people.
All right.
Now we again go ahead and expand the executive. And we bring other positions like the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Ministers with their own office. Remember, it's not just one person.
And it goes all the way to the county. All right.
Number one.
Okay.
Remove the name of Raila from Central Kenya.
Okay.
Remove the name of Ruto from Central Kenya. Kenyan.
Why do you say so?
Remove the name of Uhuru from Central Kenya because they are not cited in the BBI. Number one, BBI talks about inclusivity. I want to tell you something on the face. Kikuyus have been excluded since Moi era. How excluded are the Kikuyus? Kiambu, Roiro have got, the whole of Kiambu have got 2.5 million people. 3 counties in Northeastern have got 2.5 million votes, where people. Kiambu is getting 10 billion revenue sharing. The 3 counties in Northeastern are getting 34 billion. Roiro have got 200,000 votes. They are getting 100 million shillings in CDF. Duare has got 20,000 votes. He's getting 100 million votes. Parliament is a room for voting. Decisions are made through voting.
Yes.
What happened to Senate when we went for revenue sharing ratio in Central Kenya?
They argue that
when we went for Asagana 1, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta told us that he is for 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. It was defeated in Senate. Why was it defeated? Because we are very poorly represented.
Is it so?
Alice Wahome.
Who is well represented in Senate?
Alice Muthoni Wahome.
What community is well?
Listen, Alice Muthoni Wahome has got, we have got Kandara 100,000 votes. That is 1 vote. Duare has got 20,000 votes. That is 1,000 votes. If you have to talk about equality, we should have 4 members of parliament.
All right.
Yes. That is inclusivity.
Yes.
Then we come to devolution. Devolution, the limit is 15%.
Yeah.
He should read the constitution properly. All issues changing the formula has to go to referendum. Every decision in the constitution that is the constitution. It must be passed by the
referendum.
Yes. So for this 15 to 35% and 5% to the locations, it has to be approved by the referendum. It doesn't matter that there is no money. The argument is that there is no money.
Yes,
there is problems.
And we have the same leaders.
When you've got your farm, you plant and put manure waiting for the rain to rain. Sometimes you plant and the rain does not come. What would happen to you? Would you wait for the rain to prepare the ground?
You prepare in advance.
Yes.
All right.
That's what.
So in this case, then it's preparation in advance.
I told you.
We have to balance the conversation, gentlemen, because time is not on our side.
It's not on our side.
And I think it's only fair that we balance it.
Then you come to equity and equality. Then you come to sharing of wealth and resources. That is what Ruto said it is the best. 11A. Then you come to equality and equity sharing of in the proposed amendments. Article 203 of the Constitution is merged with 43 of the Constitution. Article 43 of the Constitution talks about right to economic and social rights.
Yes.
Right to be engaged. And then this money now coming to the country must be circularized and circulated to you, reader, so that you can enjoy your economic rights. Then over the biggest burden of unemployment of the youth. The entrance to the economy is through the Juakali.
Yes.
You come to the university, you are buying a bike. You come from the university, you go to Juakali. You want to start hawking. Yani, the informal sector has become key. Madam, it makes 14 million people now in the formal sector. They contribute 40% of GDP. 22% of income is from that end. If Kenya, they employ people 10 today, 9 are from the informal sector.
Okay,
that has been catered for in the BBI, business incubation and creation of fund for the proposals.
Many have questioned that, and
yes.
PMG, you'll agree with me that the mechanisms are the key things that people question
It is
today.
not the mechanism. Let me tell you.
add on that.
Just a
Make
moment.
it 1 minute and then he comes
The
in, please.
Constitution is a policy document.
Yes.
From there, it will go to Parliament for registration. Do you know what I've done as a person? Are you aware I have given Parliament 15 point of approval?
Okay.
Yes, I have forwarded to the 340 members of Parliament, stop talking in the churches and funerals. Go to Parliament. I have given 14-point agendas which are within the BBI.
And yes.
So that they discuss. This nonsense about the BBI, I have told them, number one,
Now, PMG, allow him
if
to
we
come
are borrowing,
in.
if we are borrowing money,
it is
for
only
roads,
fair that he speaks and then we come to you.
Now, let me
Yes.
add on that.
do you know why I wanted to speak? Because these people are misleading the nation.
He has a right to state his argument, not really mislead. State his argument, because there are people who subscribe to this
I have got a right now.
And you need to understand that it's instrumental.
I have got a right to court to accuse all members of Parliament under Article 35 of the Constitution.
So
because right to information. If you give me wrong information as a member of a public,
do you proceed to do that then for the sake of the people who have no idea of this, the existence of this?
I know they're not a babe, but I can go to court.
Let
because they are giving wrong information.
You
cannot continue talking about
allow Juguna to come in.
And you're not talking about what is inside.
All right.
It's direct to hypocrisy.
Juguna come in.
PMG, let PMG take the members of Parliament to court. Me, I'm not a member of Parliament.
I also can also take you.
Let us now go. Let us go.
No, interpretations are different, and that's why people proceed to court to seek interpretation of a different statement.
The problem we have, Madam Leader, is
why should somebody allow them to continue misleading Kenyans?
These people who are pro-BBI and the Kieleweke side, of which I'm not party to.
Who told you I'm a Kieleweke?
What they do, they believe, they have a belief that anybody,
He allows you chance to speak, PMG.
They believe that anybody who is questioning a few things in BBI are opposing the BBI. I want to be very clear that I have no problem with the BBI report. I have problems with some key recommendations.
Yeah.
And at the moment, what I am against is the amendment bill. Remember, we have a report and we have an amendment bill. And that is the one that we are just about to be taken to referendum. With these reasons. One thing, as PMG has just talked about representation, we all agree, especially in Mount Kenya, that
we are
underrepresented. But we need to understand the solution. We have to go look for the solution that is the cheapest.
Yes.
Remember, Article 89 of our Constitution gives that mandate to the IEBC to do boundaries, to do delimitation and all that. And what we are expecting is that by the end of this year, according to the calendar of the IEBC, we are going to have new boundaries.
Members of Parliament are
look at this.
By the Constitution.
But you see, remember even those constituencies like the Lafi constituency in I think in Lafi,
yes,
which has only 14,000 voters. It is also going to be affected by the delimitation current that will be done by the IEBC. So we do not need to go for the referendum to check the representation. The other thing that people are keeping on misleading Kenyans is about the shared prosperity. The Article 11A that has been introduced there does not talk about what we have always been told about the guaranteed minimum return. It does not talk about 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. What it talks about that anybody who is engaged with a particular activity must reap something from that. But it is just left blank like that. Why, instead of going to referendum, why don't we take charge and take advantage of the bills that have been taken to Parliament, like for example, Honorable Dede Nyolo, who took to a bill in Parliament about GMR, guaranteed minimum return. Why don't we take advantage of that? If we talk about, others are talking about the word fund that has been given to the Kenya, to the MCAs. And that's a very good thing. But the question is, do we need to waste money, public resources, doing a referendum when Our own Senator Irongo Kangata already has a bill in the Senate to help us have the one.
Anything for evolution must go to referendum.
Don't people
Gentlemen,
because,
yes.
Remember, the only thing that needs to go to referendum is the one of talking about minimum 15%. No. Minimum 15% to the counties has to go to the referendum to push it to 35%.
Even 5%.
But the current constitution tells us clearly that the national revenue, 15% minimum has to go to the way to. So we don't need to go for referendums to make it 35%.
Okay.
Even today, we don't use 15%. They have always been giving more than 15%.
Gentlemen,
so we don't need.
That is the reason why we have to look at the BBI like we had agreed, and that is what we wanted to do today. But then again, yes, I'll have it on my screen.
When somebody
going through it,
when Kiarabetes are shouting too much,
let me tell you something.
Then we are talking the truth. In fact, we are losing it. You have to conclude it in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Anyone who wants very many wives, he will say the Bible arouse. He will quote Abraham, he will quote David, he will quote Solomon. To defeat one woman, one man. Is what I mean. Anyone who wants to drink, he will say Jesus Christ created wine in Cana of Galilee.
He said, drink a little for the stomach's sake.
Somebody was told, drink a little. These people are looking for everything. When you don't want anything, you look for the cheapest.
Is it not for the same reason that the proponents are also looking for every reason to make people buy into this?
That's what I told you.
Let's go through the
now
documents.
He has misrepresented 11A. 11A is a policy document.
I have it here.
Yes.
Let us read it.
No, we cannot read it now. Can we promise each other to go through that?
Let me clear. It talks about agriculture. There is no avocado there. There is no orange there. There are no cows there. What is wrong with you? There has to be an act of Parliament.
Exactly. Can we all agree that everyone should get that copy?
The act is created from the Constitution.
I'm giving a crossing remark. I am saying this. We do not have problem with the whole BBI
30 seconds.
report.
Yeah.
The only thing that we are saying is this is not the right
time.
Now,
with who?
This is not the right time for referendum.
Because it's not the right time.
Because
time is what it is that they
the challenges we have. As we talk now, we are talking about Barun, the public debt, which is too high.
But many have asked,
as we talk,
is there going to
this is not
a
the
good
right
time?
Is
the right time ever going to come?
Madam, if
what
we
we are
want to
saying
know,
is
we still will have spent money.
Okay, anyway, what we are saying is that if we pass it now, what will happen is that we have to go back now to the
Raila and Ruto
we have
nothing to give.
Why don't can't you allow me to make the final remarks?
Raila and Ruto, you have nothing to give.
Thank you so much, PMG Kamau. Thank you so much, Njuguna Mwangi, all governance experts. Unfortunately, we probably have not winded up on a very good note.
I think we need to have people who can moderate. Now the PMG is taking advantage of his age because he will take me to elders.
You cannot allow him that.
He know he will take me to elders if I shout at him, and I can't do that. So
gentlemen, thank you so much. Guess who's on standby?
Another young person, and then PMG give him another old one so that they can discuss that.
We're going to have you and PMG next time for sure, and we'll look at the BBI.
What is then the BBI?
Then I will talk to elders.
That is what I said.
Yes, that is what we were supposed to do today. It's just that the Sagana thing came on board.
I expected we shall go one item by
We have it. Time is not on our side.
He's misrepresenting facts. And he doesn't want to give the Kenyans to understand the reality of the BBI.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, gentlemen. While they have gone through the documents, PMG, while you have
got 340 members of parliament,
PMG, I want to discuss. Now allow me the time to speak. For some reasons, they have gone through what it is that is within the document. So it's incumbent